know who made it.
Welcome back to another episode of London Boy Podcast. I've got a very special guest today. Somebody that's an absolute honor to be on, all the way from sunny Las Vegas. Uncle Rob, how's it going?
Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Yeah, well, good, man. What about you?
Excellent. Just staying busy out here. You know how we do it.
That's it, man.
Yeah, everything's good. It's been a couple years, man. Well, a few years.
It's been a few years, and funny enough, like we recorded our episode 5 years ago on the other channel.
Wow.
Yeah,
5 years.
5 years ago. It's been a long time, and obviously a lot has happened since then. You know.
Yeah, but time goes pretty fast, man. It doesn't seem like 5 years.
Nah, it seems like 2 years ago at least, at the most.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
So, do you want to tell the people a little bit about yourself, how we met, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, well, I mean, Uncle Rob, just a little name that was actually given to me by my brother Brandon, my little brother Brandon Carter, King Keto, for those
King
of you who
Keto.
follow him. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like, for that whole crew that ran with him, that still kind of runs with him, I was like that uncle, that cool guy you could talk to, and I wouldn't judge you, you know. So I got this kind of Uncle Rob persona, you know, with young adults, people in your age group, because folks
Exactly.
tend to judge. You know, you get your parents or whatever, they tend to judge you when you got things you want to do.
Yeah, they don't.
Things that aren't really normal.
They don't tend to listen.
Yeah, so I kind of served that purpose, and they thought it was pretty cool, you know, what I was doing with them, and I was kind of quasi mentoring them through some of their little struggles and all. So my brother had started doing beyond his fitness stuff. He'd started doing some like self-development type
Coaching.
courses. That's how we met. You know, he did a Renegade Summit out in London that he had me speak at. You know, I did a couple of them, some in California, other places, but I did that one in London. And yeah, that's kind of what I do. So that's my niche. You know, I help mentor young people. I've got a nonprofit called The Solution, because people talk a lot about issues. You know, you got a problem with this or society that. Yeah, it's a lot of talk, but nobody solves the problem. Nobody wants to create.
It's a lot of hot air. You know.
So basically, my whole goal, my whole persona is to be that person that can counsel people through, help find solutions to problems, to challenges that young folks are having in life. My goal is to, pass down information that I have based on my struggles, my experiences, so that young folks can do more quicker. The goal is to help folks accomplish more sooner. If I can do that, then I would have done my deed. That would be my philanthropy and my give back to the world.
The mission, pretty much.
Yeah. And that's what I feel my cause is. I believe that the reason I went through a lot of the things that I did, having access to money, then being broke with a whole lot of kids and obligations, then getting money again, all of these things I think were done for me for a reason. It wasn't a complicated journey for me. It was more natural. So natural. Yeah, so I figured the reason was for me to communicate that. There's no way for me to communicate with you how to overcome these challenges if I haven't done it.
You haven't been through it.
I believe that the reason I was faced with some of these challenges.
Yeah.
So I can communicate that back to
you. So that's really what makes you authentic, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And funny you mentioned the counselling. A few years ago, you helped me out quite a bit. Right after we recorded that episode on the Eagle Champions, I was going through some stuff, just like a young sort of teenager, struggling to find my way in the world. I was going through a lot of like internal conflict, and we were having some really, in-depth conversations, and you shared a little bit about your story. It's just sort of put a lot of things in perspective, right?
Yeah.
You know.
And that's kind of what I do now. I mean, it's maybe a more updated version.
Yeah.
My content has definitely changed, and the basis is more, I guess, realistically finite. It's like, what I teach now is, first understand that you're gonna die.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what we need to know. We need to know that this is temporary. This whole existence is temporary, and the quality of this trip, this visit, is going to be determined by us. But until we start to really, I guess, grasp our mortality, what I'm saying? We don't put the emphasis that we need on our day-to-day activities and our functions.
So basically, like, what you're saying is that we're living on borrowed time, and it's our mission to make the most out of that time, pretty much.
It's your mission to make the most of it. Now, here's the key. We take it for granted because we wake up every morning and nobody stresses, hey, you don't have much time to waste.
That's it. That's it.
But then we look back. We just said it was 5 years. Okay, 5 years.
It's crazy.
It went like that.
Yeah.
It went so fast that you don't realize it. How much more could you have accomplished if somebody told you you had cancer and you were going to die in 5 years?
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned your sort of mission statement and your philosophy, because it segues to the topic of today, which is like finding your purpose in life. And I feel like a lot of young men, even older men, that's what they struggle to find their purpose in life. They might get caught up in a career they didn't really intend to go into, or get caught up, I don't know, with like a relationship or a spouse which they're not completely happy with. Or it just consumes their time, and they're confused, right? They're unhappy internally, and that's the thing for a lot of people,
And that's the problem. I mean, we follow a path that is not always defined by us. I think many of us just start walking down the street, and it just leads us wherever it is, and we start to get more entrenched because we may go down this street. And we pick up somebody with us. So now we have a spouse, and maybe we have some children, and now we have to get a job. So now we're stuck in one little location down this street. And we get so entrenched in that, and we never focused on anything other than supporting that.
Supporting what you're currently doing.
Yeah, we don't know what our purpose is here. I believe my purpose is to share this information with people, to help people, because I feel good about it. When I do it, it makes me feel a certain way. So I figure if I'm spending hours of my life, which is borrowed time, it should be doing things that give me some sense of gratification.
Fulfillment, right?
Or something, exactly. So people should carry that over into all aspects of your life. It shouldn't just be when I'm with my children, I'm spending quality time, it makes me feel this way.
Yeah.
Everything I do should make me feel this way. So if my premise is feeling this way, appreciating every day, what I'm saying, feeling good about the results I get out of every day, that would mean that I should be doing things that give me those kinds of feelings.
Those kind of feelings, yeah.
So now if I'm doing things that don't do that, so many of us have stressful days. We wake up and we go somewhere that we know we don't want to go to. So it creates some degree of stress or anxiety. We're interacting with people that we really may not feel like seeing that day, because, I don't know, either out of obligation or whatever the reason is, where we're encountering people and we're experiencing things during the course of that day that aren't necessarily what we would choose to do if we had a choice. You know what I'm saying?
So,
but we feel like we have to.
Yeah, we feel obligated to do so, yeah.
And I'm saying we have to unlearn that. Your obligation should be to making sure that while you're on this planet, you're enjoying what you're supposed to do. Because that's your only real job. I mean, 100 years from now, nothing else is going to matter. I just buried my aunt, 98 years old. Last weekend, I was in Ohio.
Oh,
she lived a great life, 98 years. That's fine. I appreciate it. But 98 years. She got no regrets. You should have heard all the great things people were talking about her, saying about her, which puts all this in perspective.
Yeah.
And someday you just went in the ground. And nobody other than you is going to take,
memories and...
Yeah, nobody's going to prioritize what you want, what you need, but you.
I get that.
Now, I had to learn this the hard way. I mean, I got 6 kids. So, of course, my priority's been always these kids for the last 10, 15 years. But recently, I started to realize that, some of these obligations may or may not be my responsibility. It doesn't matter who it is. I can't start to feel overwhelmed or else it's counterproductive.
Counterproductive on your end, yeah.
Yeah, all right, so the fact remains I got all these kids, but the fact remains that, if something is creating anxiety, like having to personally take them to all their functions and this, that, and the other, then I need to address where the anxiety is coming up. That may mean they have to go to less. It may mean I have to pay somebody to take them. Whatever that means in a person's individual situation, it just means that we need to address that that anytime we get that emotion, that feeling that, hey, this is not really how I prefer to be feeling, then we try to eliminate that. You know what I'm saying?
That's it. And I'm glad you used the analogy of, like, we walk down the street and it's easy to get lost there. You meet people along the way, right? And then you develop priorities. That makes sense. But, like, how do you deal with your priorities and still do what you're meant to be doing? I mean to say, like, how do you control that? How do you take control out of what you need to do and do what you want to do as well? Like, you think there's a balance there, maybe?
So, yeah, see, I believe balance is, that's kind of fiction. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know that priorities are equal. They aren't the same. A priority today, because it's time sensitive, may not be a priority tomorrow. So what I think people have to do is figure out how they want to live.
How do I want to live?
In general. How do I want to live in general? And blend that, Some days, pushing all your time to your family and other things that you enjoy is going to be the priority because time's going to allow it. Everybody's going to be available. You're going to plan to do something there, whatever. But other times, work or something else may be a priority. So
that's it.
I don't think you try to balance it per se. I just think you pay enough attention to what you feel needs to be in place so that you don't feel like anything's being left out. Instinctively when, I should be spending more time doing this. Everybody knows that. That's when you contemplate with yourself. Don't negotiate with yourself. Don't make allowances for yourself. You ain't ever find me looking in the mirror and say, well, I'm supposed to do this. I committed it, but I want to do something else. No, you can't do that. But what you can do is say, look, all right, I'm getting to this point now. Now I have to reassess right now. What's more important to do and what's in line with my gratification. If I go down this road and reprioritize this way, if I die on the way, do I feel good about that choice? That's a question you can ask yourself. Or if something happens along the way and it doesn't work, do I still feel good about that choice? Because the experience or whatever I gain from that is really what I'm after. You know what I'm saying?
So what you're
go down that path.
So what you're saying really is live in the moment and do what feels right rather than hoping that everything should be perfect and you should be elsewhere and do this and do that. Just do what you're supposed to do and make sure you feel good about it.
Make sure you do what you feel right. Make sure you feel good about it. And I think the decision has to be before you get there. How many times have you gone somewhere, right? You've committed it so you were there, but you didn't enjoy yourself when you were there.
Yeah.
You may have not well been there. Why be there if you're not going to enjoy it? And the person you were with, they felt that you didn't really enjoy that. So you ruined it for them too. It might have been better to just say, this is not really my thing. So go ahead and do this without me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or whatever. Or I'd love to do it, but I'm not going to enjoy myself because I'm only thinking about I needed to be doing this. So I might as well just do this rather than being over there and not doing it, you know. And people, I think, at in their 20s, 30s, should have had enough experiences in life where they could see that, where they could say, yeah, I have been in that scenario, and it does not make sense.
Doesn't make sense.
Just start following that. You can't worry about somebody else is going to be disappointed because I didn't go. Well, just remember, every time you say yes to something you really don't want to do, you're saying no to your happiness. You're saying
no to your happiness.
You're saying no to what you want.
That makes
sense. You're just agreeing to do something that is going to result in emotions and feelings that you prefer not to experience. And if you keep doing that, it becomes a habit, and then you die regretting not having done what you really wanted and spend most of your time. You resent the people that you've been doing all this stuff for. I mean, how many people do you know that you've heard them? They may not admit it, but you've heard people, and based on the way they talk, it's like, man, you resent your children. You resent all the shit you had to do for your children. You know what I mean? That's not true. You know, before that happens, whatever is causing me that stress, I'm going to eliminate that factor. If driving them around was creating me anxiety so that I don't resent them, then I'll hire somebody else to do the driving, you know?
Yeah.
You just got to take that element out of it so that you don't, it's self-inflicted most of the time.
Self-inflicted.
Everybody's unhappiness is self-inflicted because you have the control. You can tell people no. You can decide what you will and will not do. I understand sometimes you got bills to pay and other things, but those are temporary situations. You don't have to work at the place you work at. You know, you can work there until you find a different place. You do have to eat, so I get that. But I am also not giving people a bye. I mean, you could choose to not work places you don't enjoy.
Yeah, you always got the option.
Yeah, you got the option. You just can't be scared of the change.
Of the change,
That's the thing. People are scared of the change. This is comfortable. It's uncomfortable right here. So it's uncomfortable enough for me to bitch and whine, but it's not uncomfortable enough for me to change.
To do something about it.
And that's where people stand. Most people stand. So the first thing I think is if you really realize that, you know what, if I don't make a change, I'm just going to die with all these regrets. So I better do something. That's where it has to start. It has to start there, you know.
And I'm glad you mentioned that part about the job, like doing a job you might not like, because a lot of our conversations, like a lot of the sort of identity crisis and conflict I was going through was, you know, going out into the world. Yeah, I've got this degree from university or college, but I'm scared to end up doing something that I don't want to do. That was always my biggest fear and thing I might regret. And then I ended up doing something which was like a manual labor job, something like you don't need a lot of knowledge to do, basically. And I done that for the year, and I hated every single moment of it. But obviously, eventually, I with enough persistence, I did what I wanted to do. But now looking back at it, I'm glad that I did that because I learned a lesson from it. You know, you know, every experience teaches you a lesson, and
that's the beautiful thing about life, though. That's the beautiful thing about the whole journey. That's how you get seasoned. You know? And I do want to mention this to your listeners, you know, because I know a lot of young people put a lot of pressure on themselves. I mean, it's a lot of pressure to perform. And whether it be, you know, expectations from parents, themselves, peers, whatever the case, the reality is that pressure's there. And if things don't go directly or right as planned, you know, they may feel some kind of way about that. You know, some of them, you know, get motivated and they're challenged, but others get discouraged. Especially those that get discouraged. I need to say that, you know, the results, they come last. Just remember, the results come last. And the bigger the results, many times the longer the gap to wait. But they come last because they take work, you know. I mean, results are, you know, a compilation of all of this effort that you put. And sometimes you have to fail just to get enough experience not to fail the next time. So you may have to take a step back,
Mm.
learn from what you did. Just like you said, you learned from that.
Yeah.
You learned plenty from that. First of all, you learned that you can do it if you had to.
If you had to do it, you do it.
That
Yeah.
you don't want to do it. So it's been eliminated as an option. It was an option before. Now it's no longer an option. You've learned all kinds of, and you learned how to not get stuck there.
How to not
you
get
always
stuck
think
there.
that you may not think are relevant facts, but they are when it comes to making a future decision. So, you have to be prepared for the scope and the scale of what you're trying to accomplish. And many times, your ambition may be a little bit ahead of your actual abilities. Not trying to take anything away from people. It's just a reality.
It's just a reality.
There was a time that you couldn't walk. It took you 6-8 months to figure that
Before you
shit
could
out. Then
walk.
you start walking. Now you walk in second nature. When you go out into the world, you're doing a whole new thing, a whole new career. And the people that are making the most at it are the experts at it, the ones that have been doing it for the longest time. So you can't expect to come in and perform at that level. You know what I'm saying? You have to aspire to perform at that level or beyond. You know what I'm saying? And realize that that's going to take some bumps and bruises. Anybody that you talk to is going to tell you that it's a journey. It just doesn't happen overnight. So the results will come at the end, and they'll be as large as you want them, but that may take a little longer time.
Yeah. I always like to say to people, like, it's a marathon, not a sprint, right?
It is.
Like you mentioned,
and if you pull this together and you're doing the right shit, then it's fun anyway.
It's fun anyway.
It's not like you even noticed the journey. You know what I mean? Because there's these like in infusions of endorphins as you accomplish things along the way. You start to see yourself moving in that direction.
It's all like step by step. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's constant gratification. You know what I'm saying? There's constant fulfillment as these milestones get chipped away. You see the progress. And as long as you're still doing the shit you loving, that you're trying to get done, if it's your career and you like it, you're getting better at it, so you should be enjoying that. Even the bumps and bruises, even when you have a hard day, it's challenging, but once you accomplish it, you're like, ooh, now I know I'm a badass because we accomplished that. So that's the air, that's the atmosphere that you're looking for. And if that's not the atmosphere that happens on a daily basis, then that's what you should be trying to create.
So you're saying
there's a book. There's a book Brandon recommended for me back a while back. It's called The One Thing.
The One Thing.
It's written by let me see. Hold on, I think I'll find it here. The One Thing.
The One Thing.
Yeah. See that?
Yeah.
All right, so that's Gary on there. People should be able to see enough of it there. Anyway, it's a pretty good book, but it kind of breaks down how you should focus on, and I don't want to recreate the wheel, that's why I threw that out there, how you should focus on your one thing. You know what I mean? I mean, you have to ask yourself, he has this one thing in there where he says, you ask yourself, what is the one thing I should be doing today that makes, it was, how's it sound? But basically paraphrase, because I'm going to get this wrong, but what's the one thing I should be doing today that could make everything else either easier or not necessary? You see what I'm saying? So as you prioritize your day, as you go towards creating this life that you want, whatever these dreams are that you want. See, people, when you ask what is my purpose, it's going to be very close to what, if I had an ideal day of what I would do in life, what I would be doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That should be your purpose. I would be helping people. I would be doing this. I would have enough money. And all of this is included. So then you have to kind of create a scenario that says, now, how do I get to that? How do I get to that place where all of that exists, where I'm doing that? And then you just reverse engineer it. It's really simple. You know what I'm saying?
And I guess it starts with the intention of getting there, right? Because if your intention is right, then the actions will follow. You might not have the resources yet.
Correct. Well, and you probably won't have the resources. I mean, let's not say you won't. You won't have any of the things necessary other than you and your drive and your motivation. Let's just assume everybody starts there.
Yeah.
Because that's the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Now, when you say resources, okay, I don't have money. Some people may not have access to it. But as you're going through your evaluation process and figuring out what you need to get there, that's when you identify those factors. It'll be different from some people. Some people are going to need money. Others may have it. Some people are going to need, drive. I'd rather have the drive than the money. You know what I mean? It just depends on who you are and what you're facing once you do that real humble look at you and what you want out of life. But yeah, that's where it starts, And I just say keep it closest to. If I died today,
what would I be doing?
Am I headed in the right direction? Will I feel like I did everything I could have done up to this day to be as happy as I could be, as satisfied as I could be, have as much money as I wanted, take care of my family the way I wanted, and have I done a good job at all the shit I was trying to do? Because once you look at that picture, if it's the real picture, it'll have all that in it,
Exactly.
If you want a family, that has to be in the ultimate picture. Someday you can't be going down the road of a single person. There's no way to get there. You'll ultimately be unhappy.
Yeah, and so it reminds me a bit of, I don't know if you still use this sort of philosophy, but I remember your one bucket.
One bucket, yep.
Philosophy.
It's
pretty much the same thing, right?
When I read the one thing, it reminded me of the one bucket.
The one bucket, yeah.
But there's a lot of things in there that are totally different, much broader, and that actually helped me. The one section that helped me most, I think it was chapter 17, is learn to say no. Because I have so many obligations, and I've been playing this Uncle Rob role in real life.
In real life,
from big brother or best friend or or whatever confidant type person. I've been playing this role my whole life. And I have to realize that the more I say yes to people, even helping, even doing things that I enjoy doing, the more I'm taking away from current projects and current things that should be priorities for me. So that's where I struggle most. And I didn't just read this book; I got it on
audiobooks as well.
Audible. So I listened to chapter 17 sometimes when I'm driving. That's how I know which chapter it is. Just because I have to keep reiterating that. So because I keep getting that, there's going to be a weak point. Everybody has some kind of a weak point, And for me, it's that, and that's where the world, where I don't know, we call it some kind of cosmic energy, but that's where it taps you, right? That's your weak spot all the time. So people that need something are going to keep addressing me, And I don't want to discourage people from coming to me. I don't want to be non-approachable, so I have to find a very tactful way, because I'm always tempted to say, okay, I got you. Let me know. I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it. I mean, you ain't never heard me say no.
No.
To nobody. So that's my biggest problem. It's because every time I commit, then it takes more time away from me, my life, what I really need to be doing for me. I get it. I want to help people, but I gotta scale helping people in a way that it doesn't impact me, taken away from how I need to be spent.
So, basically what you're saying is do what you have to do, but be strategic about it, right?
Right.
Make it work.
And that, you know what? I mean, I wish I'd have said it, but you said that's the best summation, basically, synopsis of this whole philosophy. You know what I'm saying? You just got to be strategic about it, because everything you want to do has to get done.
Has to get done anyway.
Yeah, I don't want anybody. I don't want to allude or imply or suggest that you cut out things that are important. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's why I don't believe in balance. But priorities will be different at different times. You have to be strategic. Your whole thing is to mastermind your life and your day in a way that
benefit you.
It's most beneficial to getting everything done. It's most strategic, and you satisfy all of those. And that's the real challenge. How do I satisfy all of these areas? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what a head coach of a soccer team does. What do? They want to make sure that these people are playing in sync with these people and strategically figuring out how to get goals, how to defend.
What's the game plan?
Keeping people in shape, all of these things. Same thing. All those areas of your life, you just manage them like a coach or a businessman or whatever analogy fits your personality. But kind of look at yourself as that and look at your life as the thing that you're strategically managing. And you're trying to score every day. You want to score more points. The more points you score, the happier you are. So the more shit that lines up with what you're trying to accomplish that you get done every day, the more points, the happier
more points you get.
Yeah, the happier you should be. And if it ain't in your bucket, fuck it. That's what I used to say,
philosophy,
man. You know what's in your bucket and what ain't. And if it ain't part of that, then you don't need to be doing it.
Yeah. And for people that don't know, it's like everything that you're aspiring to and that you care for, just throw it in there. All right, I've got my work or my mission, whatever. How do I throw that in with family? How do I throw that in with hobbies? It all needs to fit, or else it don't need to fit. Either fits or it don't.
That's in your bucket. Yeah. Anything that's not yours shouldn't be in that bucket.
It shouldn't be in there.
I mean, yeah, the fact that my wife wants to be a ballerina, let's say, and she can't do it, is not my problem.
It's not your problem.
You know what I mean? I can't spend time trying to teach her or spend time hours and hours helping her be a ballerina if it don't fit with
what you're trying to do.
Because I don't want to massage her toes when they hurt anyway. So I'm discouraging the whole thing. You got to think of the whole picture. I mean, what does it really mean to you when you commit to support somebody? You're committing to all of that time and effort. You know what I'm saying?
How's it logical? Yeah. And we're back. So, so you were saying about the bucket, if it don't align with your goals and what's important to you, don't do it. And, one thing I wanted to say, what would you advise to somebody that has an aspiration, right, but is too scared to do what they want to do? Let's say they care what their family thinks, what their peers are going to say. They're not really living true to themselves. Like, how do you break out of that mode and find that confidence in you?
Well, I guess the first thing I would ask is, and maybe you try to answer this for these people, is what happens if you
die?
Do it?
Oh, what happens if you do it? Yeah.
You can ask yourself, what happens if you don't? But what happens if you do? That's the question. You're scared because you wonder what they'll think, and then what would they think? If you did it, what will they think? I mean, and honestly, the answer most of the time would be they'd be proud of you.
They'd be proud of you.
I mean, I think people worry too much about what they think they would think about what they're trying to do. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I don't even know what that is.
Yeah,
You're thinking about what somebody might think about what you want to try. But if you actually succeeded at what you tried to do, right, then they would be proud of you.
That's it.
In most cases, you're not trying to do something that's bad unless you're trying to be a criminal or, a stripper or something like that you think your family may look down upon. Okay, I can get that. But most people that have those occupations don't worry about what people think. They don't have a confidence problem. But let's just say that this is something normal.
Yeah.
We'll exclude those. I mean, why wouldn't they be proud of you if you did it, if you succeed? So what you're really saying is that you're worried about what they would think if you failed.
If you've done it and failed, yeah, pretty much.
You're really thinking about what would they? So what is that? What would they do if you failed? What would they think if you failed? Most likely, what would it change their view of you as a human being?
No, the reality of it, it doesn't matter, right?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
They'll probably be proud of the fact that you tried.
You attempted it.
Relationship, you know what I mean? Because people know how tough it is to try stuff.
That's it.
They know how complicated things can be, and really, if you haven't done it before, they've gone through the same thought process, worrying about shit, about people, what they think. But if you really look at it, I mean, I don't know what you're really scared of. I mean, what are you really scared of? If you're scared of what they would think, then really kind of answer that. What would you think they would think? What would you think about somebody who would? Well, I mean, probably wouldn't think too much bad about it. I probably wouldn't even care. You know what I'm
Wouldn't
saying?
care.
And if I did close enough to care, I'd be proud of them. And I was like, shit, you at least tried, you know?
Yeah.
And as far as you're concerned, that's what you need. You have to at least try. At least try is the filter, okay, for everything you want to do in life. Because you will be, there'll be things that you instinctively or naturally decide you want to try in life. You say, hey, I like these things because you just feel like you like them. Nobody had to introduce them to you. Then there'll be other things that'll be introduced to you, you know, whether it's from a commercial, somebody says, try HET this, get a great career at that, or whatever. Some things will be thrown at you that you're going to end up experiencing. But the key for young people is experience so that you can make the decision of whether that was the right shit or not.
Right shit or not.
I promise you, whatever it is you're trying to try, right, that you're all afraid of, it's something that you believe you might be good at, you believe you might want to do, or you believe the life that this might give you is the right thing. You don't know that from you don't know that word for damn yet. You know what I'm saying?
You don't know.
But you can't know it until you try. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not really about failing or succeeding. Not at this point. It's really about just understanding and believing that I need to know that. No matter what it is, no matter what nobody thinks, I need to know whether or not this is the shit for me. I need to know whether or not I'm good enough to make this happen. Yeah. I need to know whether or not. Otherwise, who the fuck? I did myself a disservice. I'm the one that needs to know this information. You know, and the worst case over there is that they just either approve or not approve. They're either proud of me or not proud of me. And in most cases, they probably would be proud of me, whether I failed or not. Shit, that's not a problem. The real problem is I got to prove to me, or I got to determine whether this is something I like or not.
Yeah, because like the reason why I asked that is because that relates to myself from in the past. Like I've always wanted to have my own show on YouTube, right? Podcast, invite a lot of interesting guests. But I don't know if it's a personal thing or is it a UK thing. People are a lot more reserved. When I went to the US, people sort of encourage and push you to be yourself.
Right.
And I was sort of, I don't know, yeah, I was always sort of terrified, putting myself out there. Am I going to make a fool out of myself, you know? But then, like, similar to what you said in the beginning, you said, like, we're all going to die anyway, like, I'm 25. I'm going to be 30 in 5 years. 10 years, I'll be 40. Then, you know, and before you know it, life, you know, the clock's ticking. Life will be over soon. Are you going to live a life that you fully fulfilled, that you live true to yourself? Or are you going to live a life just to please other people, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
I'll put it into more context based on the stage of life that I'm in. Let's break it down into 4 quarters, like American football.
Yeah.
The first quarter, the first 20 years. A quarter is 20 years of your life. We're just assuming that
20 years of your
a
life.
Full life is 80 years. That's reasonable.
That's reasonable.
The full life is 80 years. If you get into overtime, you make it into overtime. You know what I'm
that's
saying?
it.
It might be sudden death overtime, but it's overtime.
So at least you went to overtime.
But the first quarter, I mean, you get in the field for the defense, and the offense. You get in the field for what's happening out there. You know, many times there's not even a lot of points scored there, depending on what's happening. But the first quarter of your life is when you're getting this foundation. From 0 to 20. That's your first quarter. And you can make all the mistakes you want in the first quarter. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that's what it's for. So that you can understand that as you get deeper in this game of life, you got to make less penalties. It'll be less penalties, less mistakes, less errors. Because at some point, you got to be coaching this game. You can't work forever. There's certain things at certain times that have to change. So you got to look at it like that. So to this stage of my life, I can now. The more I focus, or the earlier I focus, the earlier I can make a great situation. But the first 20 years is the first quarter. Second 20 years is the second. By the time you're 40, a lot of things are going to change in your life and your perspective. You
That's it,
won't
man.
have the same strategy in the second half of your life as you're going to have in the first half of your life. So somewhere in that second quarter, you got to get a grasp and really buckle down on what you're going to do. I mean, and most people are in that second quarter. You know what I'm saying? Between 20 and 40. Now, where you choose to buckle down is going to determine how prepared you are for those later quarters. And it's just that simple. I mean, you can decide, hey, I'm going to prolong it. I'm going to mess up as long as I want to mess up. That's cool. You know what I'm saying? But when you go in at halftime, you're 40 years old, and you're looking in the mirror, and you ain't got shit. You know what I'm saying? And you're looking ahead of you, and you're saying, damn, how am I going to accumulate enough money to not work one day? I don't know. Now you're in panic mode. Now you got to throw fucking long bombs just to try to score. And those are risky. The chances of you winning now become slim to none because you don't have a strategy yet. You don't even know at this point how you can recover from where you are. That's supposed to happen in the second quarter. You know what I'm saying? Somewhere between 20 and 40, you got to figure out, all right, here are all the fucked up mistakes I made, and here's how I can fix this and go in the direction I want to go. And you got to have a plan. And it's got to happen in the second quarter. Now, it can happen in the third or fourth quarter. Just know that your life won't be as fruitful as it could be.
As it could be.
You just don't have enough time. You know what I'm saying? To get whatever you're going to get.
So basically what you're saying is it's okay to make sort of mistakes when you're younger as long as you learn from them and use them to your advantage, pretty much. Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying, but even more so that people don't get discouraged. Because, and I do believe that it's cultural because, I mean, I think you guys, I don't know how much pressure is put on you guys for performance, whatever, but I do know the cultural difference is there. We do take more risks. But I'm saying that you will make mistakes. Not that it's okay to make mistakes. You need to know that during this stage of your life, until you turn the hat, look at it differently, you will be making mistakes because you're not really strategically going through life. You're just going through life. Right now, you're just waking up and you walk down the street in whichever direction you go because the world is spinning. You just start going. You know,
go there.
You're not thinking about which way you're going. You're not planning to leave this job and move over here and do this. You haven't found this picture that you're working toward yet. So you're not even focused. So that's what has to happen. You know, it has to. But you'll keep making mistakes until you do that because you won't know. You'll just know when you get there that this is the wrong place. So that was a mistake. Yeah, I'm going to go somewhere else. You know, oh, that was a mistake. So the process has to be to find out where you want to be in life. What does my life look like?
What does it look like?
And then make it look like that. You know, don't chase that dream or make it look like that. What do I have to do to make it look like that? It may sound simple. I mean, but it really is, you know, it may be difficult, complicated to do, but it is very simple. You know what I'm saying? Don't over convolute it, you know? Yeah.
And that reminds me of, you know, the Frank Sinatra song, like, I lived a life that's full, traveled each and every highway.
Each and every highway, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
As long as I did it my way, you know.
That's life. If you do that and you're true to that, you know, if you're true to the lyrics of that song, then you live a great life. Nobody will have to cry at your funeral. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's all I want. Now I don't know about you, but shoot, if I've done it all and I can look up from my deathbed or hospital bed or wherever the hell you are, and you can look up and smile and tell people, "Holy, look, don't worry about me. I'm gonna be fine because I did it all. I knew this day was coming." You know what I'm saying? So I took care of this. I took care of everything I needed to. If you can say that you did it right, and it's gonna be different for everybody, and you can't worry about what nobody else says. You know what I'm saying? I mean, my little brother's worth maybe 10 times what I'm worth. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I can't worry about nobody saying, well, what do you feel? Your little brother. But look, I'm proud of him, you know.
You're proud of him.
My life, he's living his life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how folks got to live. You can't worry about, because me trying to live Brandon's life, I wouldn't be happy. I don't need all of that attention. I don't want to be walking down the street, people stop me. I got to go to the grocery store, man. Quit stopping me, you know?
Private life, happy life.
It's just a different perspective. So if you focus on making your own life full and happy, that's the thing. That's how you get there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%.
That's how you get there, and that should be your purpose. Your whole purpose should be finding that out. You know what I'm saying? If there's nothing else, that's all you should be doing. If you don't really know what that picture is and what you're chasing, then that's what you should be figuring out. Then that's what you should be doing until you figure that out. Then once you figure it out, then you chase that.
So that's where the reverse engineering comes in.
Exactly. Exactly.
But yeah, that's one thing that I did learn from this podcast is just the reflection on your mortality, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're all gonna die. Why are we not doing what we're supposed to be doing? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And who can you blame? I mean, I promise you, because I know right now, if I was to die today, there'd be a couple of things I say, damn, I wish I would have did it, man.
Yeah.
I had a chance and I fucking didn't do it, you know. How many people gonna say that about a lot of things, not just one or two things?
Yeah, there's a lot of regrets out there, bro.
And that's messed up because you don't have a chance no more. You don't have a chance no more. And I figured that the world is here. We get a visit, right? God gave me that, a visit, and so many things out there. Now, the reason I think there's so many things out there is because there's so many different people and so many different interests, right? They're not all for me, but everything that's for me, that's interesting for me, I should be able to enjoy.
Make the most of it, yeah.
I like it. He put it on the planet, so I need to go to that place and I need to see it, or I need to do it, or I need to feel it, or I need to experience it, or I need to consume it. Whatever it is, if it's something that's pleasurable for me and it's on this planet, then it's my belief that I'm supposed to actually partake and experience and enjoy that while I'm here. And if it's things that are beyond my reach right now, I wouldn't have been introduced to them. They wouldn't be appealing to me if I wasn't supposed to aspire to do that at some point.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I wouldn't be interested.
Yeah, and that sort of outlook is obviously heavily based on experience and what you want to experience. And that takes you away from the end result, wishing it was all perfect. Oh, I need this X amount of money, that amount of money. No, like, I'm just going to do what I want to do, and that's it, you know?
That's it.
Yeah.
If what I want to do happens to cost more money than I have right now, then I just have to figure out how to earn more money.
How to get it.
Because not doing what I want to do that's not an option. I mean, that's not an option. I mean, I'm on the planet to do these things. This is why I'm here. You know what I mean? I mean, again, think about it. If you decide to quit when they teach you to walk, what the fuck would you be doing right now? You just can't. You gotta walk. You know what I'm saying? So if you figure it like that, I gotta experience these things. I gotta do this. This is just my thing. Then that's how it'll work. You just don't not do it.
Yeah, and that's an interesting take. But one thing I'd like to say, what if there's like an unforeseen tragedy, or like, as you know, like a year ago or so, we were all locked in. You know, we couldn't do stuff. Like, when sometimes stuff doesn't work out to plan, things are out of our control. You know, there might be a little bump on the road. Like, how do you overcome these things, right?
You adapt.
You just adapt to it, yeah.
You adapt. I mean, we'll stay on the pandemic and we'll look at how the world has changed.
How it's changed.
I mean, look at us now. I mean, you came to see me in London at a place, in a room, you know, physically. Now we're doing this over Zoom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, Brandon's doing his meetings over Zoom. You know, I mean, that in itself is, you know what you need to do. You just got to figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
And that's with everything. You know, it's not just societal, like with the pandemic. It applies to whatever task you're trying to do, whatever thing you're trying to accomplish. You know, there are gonna be barriers. I mean, that's the test. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is part of how I look at it. I mean, there's a filtering process for everything. The world just does that. The world's just not gonna. It's just not. You just can't have shit just because you wanted it. You know, it just doesn't work that way. I mean, people have to prove that they want what they want. There's a cost for everything.
Cost for
There's
it.
a cost. So either you have to sacrifice, you got to give time, money, something. There's a cost for everything. So, you know, you just got to pay the cost. You know, and you just have to determine what that is. If you're in a particular business and the circumstances change, I mean, because you can't control the economy. I mean, you guys gonna have all kinds of issues with fuel just to get heat and shit. You know, but do you just die and quit?
No, we find a way.
No,
We'll survive.
You have to find a way. You have to find a way because the winter will come. It will fucking get cold, and you do need warmth.
Yeah.
So we will find a way. It's the same thing, but people they don't, in their minds, you don't conceptualize things as that traumatic. The trauma, the thing that stopped you, is big. Oh, you know, all my shit got stolen. You know what I'm saying? My whole loft got broken into, and all my podcast shit got stolen. So now I can't do a podcast.
Yeah.
No, that's not true. All your podcast shit got stolen, so you need better security. But you just need to spend some money and get some new shit before you can do a podcast.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So now, how did you make that happen? You know what I'm saying? Well, I don't have no money. Well, okay. So how do you make that happen? You know, and that's the key. Is figuring out, like any other disaster, you gotta put the same kind of emphasis on it. It's not like I'm not going to eat. It's not like this fucking podcast not going to happen. Even if I have to borrow shit for today, it's got to happen.
It's going to happen either way.
That's the mentality. That's the mentality, you know.
I get it. And it's almost like, obviously, humans or mammals, right? Animals. Like, if an animal can adapt to survive in the jungle with climate change and whatnot, then we humans, with the intelligence that we have and resources, we can adapt also, right?
You can adapt.
It's just a different type of adaptation, yeah.
We're just, I mean, we're first world country inhabitants. And we're as spoiled as we could possibly be.
Yeah, and soft as well, for the most part.
As soft as a freaking charming toilet tissue, so whatever, because that's how soft we are. Because they have people that in third world countries that are faced with real challenges. You see what I'm saying? Real challenges. How do I really eat? You know, not how do I eat what I like, you know, today, or how do I get what I want or prefer. You know, I mean, how do I eat at all? You know what I'm saying? I'm walking down with no shoes on, and I'm not even thinking about shoes and clothes. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they got people that live like, you know, wearing the same shit forever. You know, no shoes, living outside in homemade shit, dealing with the elements. So we don't really know what it's like to be challenged, you know. But that's why we soft. I mean, that's why we don't. That's why something like, the loft got broken into will let you stop something. You know, that's why, because we soft. We never really been thrown out on our asses and said, hey, you know, pick it up. This is what you got to do. Yeah. And I mean, I can't be soft and say, you know, oh, well, this is, because that's not the case. You know, shit got to be done. So we got to figure it out. And I think people should anticipate problems. That's the key. I think people anticipate too much of the ideal situation versus anticipating problems. And if you anticipate problems along the way, you anticipate solving problems along the way.
Yeah, you
don't get discouraged. You knew it was coming. You just anticipate having to solve.
You just have to be ready, like when it does come, what you're gonna do next. Yeah.
Because it will come. That's part of it. Like we started out to say, you don't know how to walk. You're gonna fall. You're gonna fall. Then you crawled first. You tried to walk. As soon as you fucking saw grown-ups walk, you tried to. You stood up, but your legs weren't strong enough. You fell down. And you kept trying, and you fell down. So then you crawled. You figured you could do this shit. And you crawled for a few months. Then you realized that the goddamn wall would hold you up. You see what I'm saying? So then you start walking on the walls until you can do it by yourself.
Like Spider-Man.
Hold the walls and walk. And that, and look, I'm not just talking about you. I'm talking about every baby in the world.
Everyone in the world.
Yeah, that's exactly how the shit happened. You know, that's exactly how the shit happened. They got the little walker thing. I could do it independently, and then boom, now I'm walking. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying when all this stuff happens, no matter how complicated it is, you got to realize that you're gonna fall, and then so now maybe the action is to crawl a little, figure this shit out. Figure that I'm crawling a little. Then you're gonna find something else, and you're gonna figure out how to lean against the wall, and that's when you make a step. You lean against the wall, then you push off, and you start walking. Next thing you know, you solved all that, and you would get to the next obstacle. You know.
So the difference is like the willingness to adapt and actually get up and do it. Basically, that's the difference.
Get up and do it. Yeah. And you know, the willingness is key because these are essential things. People are their worst enemy. You know, you mentally hold yourself back. You start negotiating with yourself, you know, talking about how complicated this is and how difficult it is, and you make yourself feel like it's okay to not have to do this, you know, or whatever.
Yeah, we make excuses for ourselves too much, you know.
Yeah. I mean, if you commit to something, then you commit to it. And if you decide that you don't have what it takes to make it happen, look in the mirror and say, I don't have what it takes to make it happen, so I need to readjust this plan. And what can I do? See, here's the thing. Here's the beautiful thing about the mirror in the bathroom. You could be in there by your damn self and come to these realities. You don't have to share your weaknesses with nobody, but you do have to come to grips with them yourself. You know what I'm saying? Or else, I mean, I don't understand how people lie to themselves. You know what I'm saying? It's the stupidest thing in the world. Because who the fuck you fooling? You know? I mean,
you can't fool yourself.
You lie to yourself. If you know, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to get the fuck up in the morning. Like for me, you remember, I don't know if you remember or not, but I was doing the intermittent fasting shit.
Yeah, I remember that.
Back when he was intermittent fasting. But, I mean, I'm cool with all of the eating part of it, but I'm not going to take black coffee. I need
you don't like it, no?
I gotta have creamer in my coffee, and I'm gonna have that shit at 3 o'clock in the morning. I ain't waiting until 10 or 11 o'clock in the afternoon to have my one piece of coffee, so a cup of coffee. I'm not. So if I know that, then I do modify intermittent fasting because I'm gonna have a latte. And if I know that about myself, then why am I gonna lie? Why am I gonna try something for a week or two and go through the whole process and drink black ass coffee that I ain't enjoying just to quit and drink the latte? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Knowing what you know about yourself is important. And it's okay to realign your goals and readjust them in line with what you know your performance is going to be.
Yeah.
You got to know yourself. Don't make set unrealistic goals and expectations for yourself because it just fucks with your confidence.
Yeah.
You know, when you don't do something.
That's how you end up living a lie, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
End up living a lie.
Exactly. So yeah, just do it. Be real with you, you know. And nobody knows. Don't stop being so quick to share everything with folks until you know you need an accountability partner, somebody that you're gonna talk to that you want them hold accountable, so that you can't slack off. Wait until then to tell people about your shit because when you figure it out and you might want to change it, you don't have to look bad. You know what I'm saying? You change it on your own. Then when you have real picture, look, I'm willing to work for this. Whatever it takes, I'm going to do this. And then you share that shit and then you go because you want people holding you accountable for it. You want somebody pushing you when you're going to feel down because sometimes you are going to need to push.
You need a bit of accountability. Yeah.
Everybody does sometimes. So, I think I'm pretty self-motivated, but man, every time I hang out with my brother, I get re-inspired. You know what I'm saying?
Get a boost.
So, everybody needs somebody sometime. Yes.
I'm not gonna lie. When I met you at that time at the seminar, it was like somebody gave me like a shot of motivation, and I had that for 3 days straight. You know.
Yeah.
3 days straight.
And that's the key. I mean, you get it. You may get it for a few days, but you need re-infusions. And kind of pushed up again. So, that's why everybody needs somebody. You need a mentor. You need somebody to keep you accountable or hold you accountable. I don't know. I'm saying this now. I guess I need to kind of get back to it and start posting again. And again, like I said, I can do it if it's scalable. So maybe I'll start posting again.
Scalable amount.
I'll be available to folks, including your listeners and all, just to help out. Just
that would be great.
Right, do something.
Yeah, it would be good to start seeing your content out again.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start next week. I'll write something this weekend and get it posted. I'll start posting again on Monday.
I look forward to that. I know you said you haven't got much time, so are there any sort of last words, or like what's like the main message you want listeners to sort of gauge from this and implement to their life?
Well, I mean, I think the theme of this podcast is finding your purpose. So I want to stay true to that and say, I think, and this isn't new. This isn't like a last word. This is reiterating that your purpose, your sole purpose, should be figuring out how you can lead the happiest, most fulfilled life possible. Okay? What does that mean to you? Only you can define that.
Only you can define it.
But I don't care how big it seems, how grandiose it seems, or how small or how simple it seems. It's yours. That's your ideal life. You know what I'm saying? That you would really enjoy living this way. If you could spend all your days this way until you die, doing these types of things. I'm not saying specifically every day, but doing these types of things, living this type of life, having these kinds of resources and access to this kinds of stuff, kinds of things. That's what you need to be working on. That's it. Only people that go after that, only people that work toward that can attain that. I've never seen anyone accomplish anything without doing it.
By doing that.
So if that's what you aspire, if that's what you want out of life, if you want to be happy, if you want fulfillment, if you want to feel like your life is just great, like you've done it your way, and you've gone down all the highways, you have to actually go down all the highways.
You're actually gonna have to do it. Yeah,
you can't be afraid to do it, and that's what I'd have to leave you with. I mean, there's no other way to do this but to do it. And whatever fears you have, you got to get in the bathroom, look in the mirror. I'm not asking you to expose yourself to other people. Get in the mirror.
Just look at yourself, see where you're messing up.
Say, dude, man, look, man, are you willing to be like this forever? Are you willing to not, make the choice. And if you don't have it, I get it. There's some people just don't have it, don't have what it takes. I don't really believe that, but there are. So, I don't understand it, but there's some people just would rather, it's just too comfortable. I'm just too afraid. I'm not going to change. I'm just going to do what I'm doing right now, and this is it, and it's going to be this way. And that is it. And if that's you, then...
And some people are happy. Some are happy to live mediocre as well,
But I'm saying, if that's you, then stop imposing too much stuff and too high expectations on yourself so that you feel kind of less than, like you're not performing, and say, this is what I want to live like anyway. You know what I'm saying? And I'm okay with this. I'm not going to do the work, so let me stop being mad about this. And let me see how to maximize this shit. At least if I'm going to be, we have limited resources and have limited access to shit, and I'm okay with that, and I'm not willing to do more. Let me see how I maximize that at least that, Your whole life should be about maximizing your time here, making sure that you do the best you can do with what you got,
Yeah. Because no matter poor, rich, whatever gender you have, the only thing we have in common is time, right?
That's the only thing we got.
That's the only thing we
got.
got.
Time and the lack of it. And the fact that we don't even know when it's going to be over. You know what I'm saying? So
scary part about it.
Look, I will say this to your older listeners. It's never too late. You know what I'm saying?
Too late.
It's never too late to start at anything. Never too late. But I will say to all your younger listeners, it's always too late to start, though. It's always too late to wait. You can't wait. It's always too late to wait. You could tomorrow just be done. You know what I'm saying? And you wasted your whole life if you don't start.
Yeah, it's like the last 5 years went like a flash, didn't they?
Went like a flash.
Yeah.
So there's really no time. There's really no time to just do nothing. Video games are cool if you can design them and sell them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if all you do is play them, then there needs to be limited time.
Exactly.
You need to play them, enjoy it, and get to something. You can't just do that all day. If whatever it is, I'm just saying, you can't monopolize your time unless you can figure out how to earn a living doing it. Now, if you can, then earn a living doing it. then you kill two birds with one stone. That's
Even
right
better.
up your alley. You're doing shit you like and you're earning a living. And you know what I'm saying?
I get that.
That's the key. I mean, but there are going to be some things you enjoy. You can't make a living doing them, so you just have to do them in moderation.
By ratio. That's a very powerful message, and I'm definitely going to listen back to this podcast as well, just to
Okay.
just to revisit some of the lessons, some of the take homes, and if people wanted to follow you on your social media,
I'm at Uncle Rob. I mean, I think if you put in Uncle Rob, the actual thing is the Rob Carter.
G-Rob Carter,
on Instagram. And on Facebook, I want to say it's Uncle Rob. It's under Uncle Rob. And but if you put in Uncle Rob on either one, it'll come up and you'll see my picture. But yeah, follow me. I'll start posting again on Monday. Carter. And I'll make sure I sustain it. Cool. I guess it's time. I mean, I guess this is the clue that it's time to do something at least weekly. If not more. Yeah,
I'll hold you accountable if you post
exactly.
or not.
Well, I am now. Put it out there. That's all.
Put it out there.
I can't not do it.
That's it. I remember you had a YouTube channel. You still on YouTube or?
Yeah, I am, but I hadn't really done anything with that one. I want to say that's still at the Rob Carter. On Gmail, but what I'd like people to do is just go to Uncle Rob TV on YouTube.
Uncle Rob TV.
I did do a Uncle Rob TV at gmail.com, and I'm going to start posting on that so that the whole Uncle Rob brand just stays consistent. You just put in Uncle Rob and you'll find it.
Yeah. All right, Uncle Rob. Thank you very much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. And
hey, anytime, man. If you need me to come back on, just give me a call.
Yeah, 100%. And I'll send you the link as soon as I put it out.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot, Uncle Rob. Take care.
You're welcome.